It was a blustery, cloud and sun-filled spring day on the outskirts of Sebastopol in beautiful Sonoma County, where we met up with owner and founder Jeffrey House of Ace Cidery. The cidery is located on Highway 116 and Occidental Road at the former Apple Exchange campus. The campus was showing its age and had weathered since the days when apples were king in Sonoma County. Jeffrey was sitting on his elevated stool that he referred to as his throne in his semi-permanent tent adjacent to the tap room and the production facility. Well, welcome to another episode of Outside the Glass. We're here with Jeffrey House, owner of Ace Cidery here in Sebastopol, California. And Jeffrey, nice to see you. Thanks for having us out here today. We came out here to find out a little bit more about your business and how you started, where you came from, the business model, and then kind of the future of where you're heading. And so why don't we get started by getting a little background on you. Where are you from originally?
Well, I was from the London area, Kingston upon Thames, which is Surrey, which is about 10 miles, 15 miles from Heathrow Airport. So initially after university I went into advertising in London with American agencies, and we had, what did we have? We had the Durex account, the London Rubber account, Prophylactics, which I was advertising. And then somebody sometimes said, well actually it was after I worked on Kawasaki motorcycles and we launched the Z1000. Somebody said at Young and Rubicon, have you ever thought about working in America? And at the time in the 70s in England, that's all we talked about was California. So I said, you bet. And what I'd missed in Britain was the real ale over there, which was people like Fuller's, people like Ruttles, people like Green King were making these beers that were hand cask conditioned beer without any CO2 that they pulled in the hand pump in the pubs, and you got these rather flat pints of beer, but they were very tasty. So I suggested to the guy from the Cuban American guy that we should import some of these beers, and he said, well, go back to England, try and find a brewery and sell some of my California wine at the same time. And I set up in 1980, on the 1st of January 1980, a company called Thames America, and we were making calls to try and sell that beer. It took them about 2 years to get us a six-pack, and it took them another year to get the labels put on properly, but that's how we started.
So you started in the garage.
Well, no, they're not quite the garage, but in the living room.
You started in the living room, and so your
and the bedrooms were offices.
So tell me about your first commercial productions.
We were still doing the importing of beer, from '93 onwards, because we had to, because we couldn't just make enough money out of Ace Cider. What we did is we went, in the marketing sense, we replaced all the Blackthorn taps with as many as we could with Ace, because we had a distributor network in several different states, which is difficult to get, as you know.
Right.
That's part of the value of a brand, is its distributor network. And I ran into Warren Dutton, who's one of the big guys around here. Unfortunately, Warren is no longer with us, but I worked a deal where he tried the ciders, he loved them, and he said he's building a building at the corner of Grayton Road and 116. One side was going to be a tractor company, and the other side, I said, well, could we make that Ace Ciders, micro cidery with a tasting room or a pub? And the pub became fantastically successful.
Obviously, you have some competition now. There are a bunch of cideries popping up, little doing heritage brands and whatever, heritage apples. Artisanal, yes, that's a great word. So how are you able to, maintain your growth and the pace?
Well, a couple of things is innovation. Obviously, we are always looking at new products. We've had the Ace Pineapple out for 3 years, and that is a large part of our success. That brand has been a bit of a phenomenon. I mean, it's the second fastest growing cider brand in the US. It was the first cider pineapple cider ever made, so that was unique. And we've also brought out Space, which is a blood orange cider. Well, I told you my wife was in Star Wars, so I put her on the neck label, which doesn't hurt because there's a lot of Star Wars fans out there. We have it in 22-ounce bottles. It's unfiltered, so you've always got to come up with something rather unique.
So Jeffrey, tell us where do you stop growing? And I mean,
Well, I'm 6'4" now. That's enough for me.
Yeah, you probably stopped growing at 15, 16.
No, my son is 6'11", so.
Oh my God.
Yeah, or 10, I think he is. But all my sons work for me. Where do you stop growing? All right. The simple answer, you know, I'm being very honest and frank with you. I have had offers to sell the company already that I've turned down because my children want to grow it. So because I've got 3 boys in the business, I mean, I could have a dynasty, where you know, they want to carry on for years. I mean, we believe at this stage that because we are the leading independent family-owned cidery in America, that we shouldn't sell ourselves short. I mean, some of these people like Dallas Point and Lagunitas, I mean, they sold for $500 million,
Sure.
or $1 billion. So, you know, give me the 100 million right now and I'll leave. You know, but these boys, my sons probably will want to keep it and see how it goes. I'm coming to near the end of my career, so I'm going to be stepping back and looking at the legislation about cider. I'm going to be looking at taxation on cider, which is very unfair compared to wine. They charge for their fruit ciders as much as they do for a 750, 13%, 15% wine, even though it's only 5%. So taxation will have to change a little bit. I think cider's got I mean, I'm banking that the next 5 years we're investing will be a very good, we'll see continued growth in the cider market. I mean, if it follows the UK at all, that 1%, which it is here, maybe 4% in Washington and Oregon, where cider's more popular, or the East Coast and New England. The UK's got 15% of its beer business, which is cider. So, again, you know, maybe it's got 15 times the growth it has now.
So no cap on the growth, and the succession plan is handed off to the boys.
Well, they're trying to kick me out now.
They're trying to kick you out now. You have 3 sons?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason is the eldest, who's the general manager. The sales manager is Simon. They're Berkeley Cal Poly guys, and then the young one is doing selling in San Francisco is Jeremy, another Cal Poly guy. So yeah, they want, and I think they could take it over in the next few months. The only thing again is we need more space, so I'm going to have to find a building or a piece of land which will allow us to develop, and that's difficult in Sonoma County.
So Jeffrey, if we were going to make a documentary about your life, what bands would be a part of the soundtrack?
Oh, for God's sake, number 1, Rolling Stones.
Rolling Stones.
Yeah, you know.
What's something you do for yourself based on the ability that you can, because you have had success? What do you do something that's just for you?
I like to read, travel.
Who is one person or one thing that inspired you to start a cidery? What would you say is the departure point for that?
Ooh,
What is?
Well, I always bring up my father's parting words when I left the UK and said, "Dad, I'm going to America." He said, "That's fine." He says, "But son, make sure you don't come back here with the tail between your legs."
Thank you so much, Jeffrey, for your time.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure.
My pleasure as well.
All right.
We had an awesome visit with Jeffrey and learned a lot about how he started his cidery. Ace Cidery was born out of a need to fill space in the beverage market back in the 1990s. Jeffrey started his cidery with the capital he received from a distribution buyout of imported ciders that he created. Having already built a distribution network across the United States for imported ciders, Jeffrey quickly used those contacts to build his own cider brand. Jeffrey, in his own words off the record, is a proud immigrant that has continued to live the American dream. You can find Ace Ciders at Whole Foods and other places that sell alcohol. The Cidery and the Ace in the Hole tap room are located at 2064 Gravenstein Highway in Sebastopol, California. The tap room is open on Fridays from 1 to 5 p.m., where you can visit with Jeffrey himself. You can also visit them online at acecider.com. Join us next time when we visit with Steve Ryan from the Wine Foundry, where anyone can start their own wine brand. Thank you for joining us, and see you next time on Outside the Glass.